Eme amon jema o. Maman a de la IPCA, le maquis chez AD, la plus belle. Oh! Tout qui Dali, mon Dieu Seigneur, à ce moment ça. Voyez! Rachel de Kibo, chez AD. Oh, abonnez Gogo, Nyaliwa, Bagno, Nyaliwa, Korapam. Avec Gogo, Nyali. Avec Gogo, Nyali. Stéphane Soko. On va briller. Nana. On va briller la Gogo, Nyaliwa. Stéphane Soko, ya Korapam. Aïe. Gogo, Nyaliwa. Amana, Vere, Kasawa. Amana, Vere, Titi, Papa, Vere, Kasawa. Alors, il est vaillant. Il est secret dans mon pain. Si il est là, allez, vaillant, pour un bravo. Hey, oh, ça va, c'est un nouveau. Allez, là, venez, Paka. Ça va, c'est un nouveau. Allez, là, venez. Voyez. Allez, là, il est pour un bravo. Allez, Godonyali. Ayo, ate wa ba bere wa sabake, wa ba be. Amba we mabani. Ni ama. Amba we mabani. Amba na su wa gbele ba yo. Abi na ni ka bere titi papa. Ata tu wo amba we mabani. Mabani, ana mabani, ana na. Bayi ba we mabani. Ni agiji dali o are di o. Ba mo gba ni we mabani. Ade aredio ade gbawe mabani ni agayi do ade gbawe mabani obe na agbaye agre saeba ama ade gbawe mabani ama mabani waye ade gbawe mabani baye mageli tuto baye bayo baye mageli. Je vous dis, c'est ça qui nous a accroché. À quoi nous faut faire ici, hein? Devant les devants. Tu n'es pas conscient, moi je suis conscient. Asaka.
I want to thank all of you again this morning. We're going to have a very special guest here this morning. That's Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. We will be having with us here Mr. Nyanu, going to be joining us here very shortly. And we will be discussing all things Grand Jide this morning, folks. We want to thank God for this wonderful, wonderful time. Again, safety. Please, whatever you do, stay safe. This Saturday morning, please stay safe. We'd love for you to come on and debate with us, have issue, whatever it is. We say respect us, we respect you. Let's shoot that little bit. Okay, folks, we thank you very much. We're not going to take long here this morning. Here we have asked Mr. Nyanu to join us, and he agreed for it. But we have a time limit here because he's a very busy man. That's for sure. So we ask you to please, whatever it is that you do, please just stay tuned here, and let's now go to see if we can have Mr. Nyanu coming on here to see if he can briefly introduce himself and. Mr. Nyanu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, let's have Mr. Nyanu. Mr. Nyanu, first of all, I want to thank you very much for taking time joining us this morning. We want to thank you very much. We appreciate it. I know you're not a stranger to the community, Jide community, and all things this morning is about Grand Jide, of course. Liberia will throw one or two things in there. But you're not stranger to our community, to the Jide community, and we appreciate that. You've led this community for a very long time. And in fact, everyone else that tried to come after you, tried to use your record as a pillow for which they want to emulate. And I think that's a very good thing for the human being to have in a community. Grand Jide community, we're not something to sneeze at. This is a large community. But first of all, do you care to just briefly introduce yourself? We have a lot here this morning, but could you just briefly introduce yourself for those audience that don't know who Mr. Nyanu is, which I don't think there's many of them anyway, but that's just the protocol we will follow here. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Johnson, and thank you for having me on your show. Like you said, I'm not a stranger to the Grand Jide community. My name is William Nyanu. Right now I'm in Chicago. I'm from Grand Jide. I'm a Grand Jidean. In terms of my professional background, I'm a civil engineer. I've been practicing for more than 30 years. I am married. Been married now for 37 years, I think, 37, 38.
Who's counting?
We
At
have
this point, who's counting, Mr.
Yeah, that's true. My wife and I, we have 4 children. We have 4 grandchildren, and I mean they're all doing well. In Grand Jide, I'm from the little town in Emerson, town. That's the town at the junction, the fork in the road when you're going to Maryland to Sino. That town right at the intersection where the roads divide. That's my town.
I see.
Yeah, basically that's who I am.
Thank you, Mr. Nyaro. Thank you for joining us this morning. We thought that we have some conversation with you, and you're not only like you're an engineer, but you're also intellectual. There's nothing, no point about that one, no question about that one. Um, let's start the conversation. First of all, like I said, we want to welcome all of those that are watching. We say thank you very much. Stay tuned. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. A little points of disclosure here, in the interest of public disclosure. I am Samson Toe, a good friend of Mr. Nyano. I consider myself at least a good friend of Mr. Nyano. I'm also involved in the exploratory committee that we trying to convince Mr. Nyano to see reason to seek the senatorial position in Grand Gila County. Now, that has not been quite well set yet. We're still, as a group, trying our best to convince him and his family to see if they will find reason to join us, and so that we can have him to be standing to run for the senatorial seat in Grand Gila County. And so I am a member of that. In fact, I'm also a chairman of the publicity group anyway. So I thought that I made that clear so people would understand. But that does not negate the fact that Mr. Nyano is here to be questioned. And so I am not going now to put my hat as a questionnaire, somebody who's going to be questioning Mr. Nyano on a lot of issues here this morning. And I hope that you try to respect that, because I'm giving you my position, and I'm not hiding anything. So, but listen to the question and the line of questioning, and then perhaps you can make your own judgment. Let's go, Mr. Nyano. I know that this thing is not quite being announced yet, but where do you stand as far as exploring the possibility of you becoming a senator in Grand Gila County? Where do you stand on that?
Well, something I don't think this is a secret anymore. I was in the country earlier this year, around January, February, and I've made my intention known to our people. I went to several the towns and the villages, and I've made my intention known that I intend to run for the Senate seat that becomes vacant next year in Grand Gila. So as far as the decision is concerned, yes, we made our intention known, and we are still going to go back to the county and the few towns and villages that we were not able to get to the last time, or we'll go back this time. Our plan is to reach out to those villages and let our people know that we intend to run for the Senate seat in 2020.
I see. And when you were in Grand Gila, what was the reception was? People are receptive to these ideas? Are you encouraged? Is that something that perhaps you need to work hard and not take anything for granted as well?
Well, I mean, a political contest is not anything to take for granted. So no matter what the reception was, you can't take anything for granted. Our people are hospitable people. I mean, when you get in their towns and villages, they're very courteous. They welcome you. They entertain you. But that's our nature. And I didn't receive anything less. A lot of the towns that I went to, in fact, all of the towns that I went to were well received. Our people made their concerns known to me. The challenges that they have had over the years when it comes to political campaigning, and a lot of their letdowns when people go out there and build up their hopes. Then at the end of the day, they are let down. So they let me know their concern, and I share with them my desire and the motivation for my doing what I'm doing. And the reception was very good. The reception was very, very, very good. I was impressed. I was educated too by the things that I saw and that I've heard. And I think they are enabling me to put together a program that I believe will address the needs of our people together with them.
I see. One of the things then, the interesting question now is when you were engaged with the folks all over Grand Gila, as you correctly stated, can you name one or two things that perhaps stand out in your mind that our people really, if you were to be successful, something that you would tackle to help our people that they have expressed to you during your visit?
You know, I think when we finally do our platform, you see our core vision. And you see, my tour of the country confirms the views that I've held over the years. I think for any group of people to rise, for any group of people to develop, it happens when the people themselves are the ones who are driving the process. Development doesn't come from the outside. So one of the challenges we have in our county, and I believe even in our country, is this mindset that there is someone from the outside who's going to come and do things for us. So one of the things I was saying to our people was that we in Grand Judea need to work together to do what we can do for ourselves. And the example that I give them when I talk to them is basically where they live. It's in agriculture, right? Year after year, we are not able to produce enough food to go through one season. So our people will produce enough food, and by the time the next farming season comes, there's not enough food. So one of the things that the conversation I intend to have with our people is how can we work together so that they are able to provide for themselves, because that's where your dignity comes from, is when you're able to provide for yourself and your family. So what can we do together? Again, it's not, Mr. Nyano coming in and Mr. Nyano is going to do this and Mr. Nyano is going to do that. What is needed in Grand Judea is how can the leaders and the people work together so that they can address the needs of the people. So one of the areas is in food production, because it's not just food for your house, it's also having something to sell. And there's a correlation between having something to sell and the attainment of education for children. Because if you have nothing to sell, you cannot send your kids to school. So those things are connected. Good education for your family, and also be able to feed your family. Our people must have something to sell. And where they live is the agricultural sector. So we need to work with them to make sure they have something to sell, and then they have enough food to feed their families. That's one of the big things we do. So the biggest challenge is in the mind. How do we motivate and inspire our people and then help them to be able, to produce enough food to feed their families, but also have something to sell to be able to send their children to school?
I see. So in terms of government, now that if you're successful, you will be part of the government of the Republic of Liberia. What are some of the things that you, from your own perspective, even though you're not there yet, but what are some of the things from your perspective that the government can do to tackle those areas that you just described that will be very helpful to our people? What are some of the contributions that the government can give to our people?
Okay, again, and this is, like I said, this is a partnership. There are things that our people can do. There are things that we in Nigeria can do. And I just gave you an example in the agricultural sector. But let's just stay with the agricultural sector. Because if our people are able to make bigger farms and they are able to produce, food for their families to eat, and they are able to produce, for example, cocoa to sell, they cannot get that cocoa to the market if they don't have roads, right? So on the one hand, while we are encouraging them to make bigger farms and to have cash crop to sell, the government must come in now and say, we will make sure that you get this cocoa or this produce to market. That means we must invest in the feeder road construction. That's something that only the government can do. The government is the only one that has the resources to do it. And now when I talk government, I'm talking both the national government and the local government. Because the local government also has resources. So we must make sure our people, whatever they produce, they will be able to get to the market. I mean, of course, everybody knows the challenge about the road from Monrovia to Grand Gila during the rainy season. That's something that must be a priority. Our people can't be cut from the rest of the country every year. And this has been going on now for what, 15 years, 16 years? So that's a problem that needs to be solved. So yes, there's a role for our people, and then there's a role for the government, and both need to work together to be for us to be able to achieve our goals.
Okay, folks, we want to thank you, Mr. Nyanu. Thank you very much for that. We're having some, but anyway, but he's audible, so that's fine. If the video gonna come back on, it's still on. But Mr. Nyanu, let me ask you this as well. You being an engineer, and from a policy perspective, now I'm not talking about design and everything else. Okay. I think we're cut off here. Let's see if we can call Mr. Nyanu again. Okay, he's back. Can you hear me, Mr. Nyanu?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. As I was asking the question, and the question was, now that you from a policy perspective. What are some of the things? Because remember now, you're going to go represent Grand Gila County, and I believe Honorable Marsha Dennis is also there. But besides that, you have other 14 other counties, and every one of you are seeking pretty much about the same thing. So, what are some of the things that you, from a policy perspective, that you guys can do to convince the Republic of Liberia to be able to come in to help your people carry out their policy?
Okay, the thing is something. The thing that I think we need to realize is that any country, resources are always scarce. Demand always outstrip resources, right? So any responsible government will have to prioritize the utilization of the scarce resources they have. Why would I, for example, advocate in the legislature that they should do a road, to Quebo, for example, in BI? The reason I'm going to advocate for the government doing a road to Quebo is because I will have to demonstrate to the government that it's not just when you put the road there, then the people in Quebo will have access maybe to, better medical facilities, maybe in Zletown or Zaitown. But it's also because there's so much economic activity going on in Quebo that has no outlet. That if the road were to go there, not only that the people there will benefit, because now they'll be able to sell their produce, but then even the people in Zwedu and the other bigger towns will benefit, because now the agricultural produce from Quebo will be coming to these cities. So now, right now, if you go to Grand Gila, most of the food you find in Grand Gila market are food from Nimba. That food will be coming from Quebo, right? But it's not coming from Quebo right now, and I'm just using Quebo as an example because there's no road. So that's what I'm saying. It's a partnership. We have to demonstrate on our side that our people have the level of economic activity that demands the government intervention. Of course, like I'm saying, there are other benefits that come with roads. And we focus on roads because too many roads, and it's a critical element in Grand Gila. We also have to show to our people, because I heard story when I was on the tour, of women being in labor in some of these towns, and they have to throw those women in hammock to bring them to the nearest clinic, and sometimes they die en route, right? And these are the stories that we have to tell. And these are the reasons we have to give and to impress upon the government that these activities need to be done. So when I'm in there, if God is to open the door and I'm in the Senate, that's why our Grand Gila Legislative Caucus will be strengthened so that we can tell these stories, right? Because that's how we're going to convince our colleagues from the other countries
Mr.
that these
Nyanu,
things need to be done in our country.
Mr. Nyanu, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just have to say this here. Before you go in there, we have other folks who are just as intelligent and smart as you are. And yet still, they are not able to achieve what you're saying. women are dying in labor because there are no transportation facilities that will lead them from these different villages to a clinic. What makes you think that you, as an individual, will go? I'm not even talking about the rest of the Grand Jide. I mean, I'm not talking about the rest of the Liberian legislatures that will be working along with you, but just within your own caucus. There are these people that the rumors has been going around that they don't even get along, that these people do not converse with each other, that the money issues, become problems over and over. How do you even tackle that within your own caucus, let alone going on to the rest of the Liberian legislature, who perhaps also seeking things from their own county as well? So there will be competition. How do you get your people from Grand Jide County to be united so that you can approach this thing with a united front, Mr. Yanu?
Okay, so that's a very good question. And you not being stranger to our effort, you know that our campaign slogan, when the campaign starts, is lifting Grand Jide together. Because we believe that there's a whole lot of benefit in collaborative work. So here's how we're beginning this process, because it's critical. The Grand Jide Caucus needs to act in concert. The Grand Jide Caucus, because it's when we come together as a people that we can, and we advocate together, that we are strong. So here's how we're beginning the process, and that's what I'm telling everybody on my team. Everybody within the Grand Jide legislative business must understand that we are no threat to anybody. So we're going to conduct our campaign with the utmost respect to those who are now legislators of Grand Jide. All of them will now attest. Those whose name I've heard that are contesting for this position as I am, I have reached out to them. I have called them. I have made a courtesy call to them to say, I know you are in the House, I know you're in the Senate. I'm just calling to say hello and to say that I intend to run for the position 2020. And I've also made it known to them that for me, the way I see elections, they are contests, they're not wars. And we all want the same thing for Grand Jide. So you know what I'm telling you is, one of the first obligations, if God were to open the door for me to get in the Senate, is to see how I can convince our people that we are no threat to each other. And something I think people don't work together when they feel that other people who try to put people down. But if we deal with each other with respect, then I think the chances of our working together will be strong. So of course, when I was on tour, our people are not together. And that's how we're going to run our campaign. We're going to run our campaign to let our colleagues know that we will succeed. We'll have the maximum benefit coming to our country if we were to work together. Now, there might be some people who cannot get there, right? But again, that's why we have to bring our people along with us. And that's how I'm running my campaign. You know, one of the things I intend to do something, I intend to be accountable to our people. So at the end of every section, my work will be in Grand Jide. Not anywhere else, not even in Monrovia. I'm going to go to people, and I'm going to share with them our successes and our challenges. And I'm going to ask them to come along with me and help me. If there's someone in the Congress who is determined not to work with the Congress, our people will know. And then we'll ask our people, because that will be their senator and their representative, to approach them and say, no, you're going to work with them. I agree with you. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, but I think I'm going to do everything within my power right now, not to poison the well, not to go in the Senate with animosity. I want to do everything within my power to be civil and to be respectful of the people that I'm going to be competing with. And articulate my vision, because that's the issue. What it is I want to do for Grand Jide. I'm going to articulate my vision aggressively, but I'm going to do it with respect, so that at the end of the contest, our chances of working together will not be diminished.
So in this rosy scenario that you just displayed here this morning to us, which I love. But let me ask you this. Let me push you further then to see. This is not commitment that you're making to the people, but Grandians are listening. So I want to hear this from you. Are you prepared? Are you prepared if God opened the door, or when God opened the door for you to get in there, are you prepared for those representatives that or people that are going to be in the caucus with you that do not want to work with you? Are you prepared to campaign against these people if they refuse to sit and work in the interest of Grand Jide? Are you prepared to campaign against them when their time comes to be taking the next step, which is to seek re-election?
Okay, I'll answer the question something. Right now, I want to be the glass is half full person. I'm going to go into this contest believing that everyone who is in our house today, who is in the legislature, wants what is best for Grand Jide. That's the assumption with which I'm going to go. So I'm not going to go with the assumption that there will be some people who don't want what is best for Grand Jide and who will stand in the way. When I get there, if that is the case, then that's what we're going to deal with. But I'm going to go there with a positive mind that it is possible for us to work together because we want the same thing. And something that's what I was telling you when I was on the trip. You got to open your eyes at Nigerians. Where is Grand Jide relative to the rest of the country? Does that not motivate you to want to do something? And I believe the people who are there, whatever reasons there are for which they are working together, I think that will be the first part of business. We must address those issues so that we can work together as a group. But again, like I'm saying, in my case, if God were to open the door, our people will know what is happening because I'm going to report to them periodically. And, I think we are all rational people. As long as I don't go there antagonizing people, I think I will have an opportunity to be heard.
But Mr. Nyaro, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just have to put this in there. Your approach, and again, I know who you are, so I know the answer. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I'm going to ask you this question anyway. With this approach, which you have always approached everything else, work together and move the group together. We can't do it alone. And that's always been your approach in anything you do. I know that. But let me ask you this. If these people that you were talking about, the representatives, the senators, and somehow don't want to work with you, and you say you're going to go to the people of Grand Jide County to lay out which you're going to do because this is what you're going to be doing, say this is what we are, and what have you. Now, the question then is there any ramification if these people refuse to cooperate? I'm trying to find out from you what are some of the things you're willing to do to move this thing seriously forward. Because people might even take this kind of approach as being weak. And I know you're not weak. I know that. I know who you are. So I'm not concerned about it. But I'm just saying people take these kinds of behavior as a sign of weakness. How do you approach that? How do you deal with that, Mr. Nyaro?
I think people act on information. Granted, people are not stupid. Why do you think they are electing people to the legislature? It's because they wanted to do certain things. When it's obvious that they are not doing those things, then to me, I think as rational people, they're not going to send them back. It doesn't require William Nyaro to go campaigning against people. All that the people need to do is to get information. So my role will be to make sure our people get the information. I'm going to appeal to my colleagues that we as a group will go and report back to our people. And I'm hoping they will do that. Now, if there's someone who say, I'm not going to go back and report to our people, then those people who will go back and report to our people will report what's actually happening in the legislature. And I'm convinced that once our people know what is actually happening there, then they will hold their people accountable. Our role is to provide our people information, right? And then at the appropriate time, whatever is necessary for us to do, we'll do. But I'm not going to start my campaign promising the people of Grand Jide that I'm going to go campaigning against this person or against that person. Because once you do that, and that's what I said from the beginning of this, you poison the well. then you promise well, right? We must assume good things of other people until they prove us otherwise. And again, you see, I'm not doing this thing because I have time on my hand and I want to do this. I'm doing this thing because I want to see results. And anything that stands in the way of the result that I believe Grand Judah deserves, that thing will be exposed. And the people of Grand Judah, who are the employers, will act accordingly. I believe that.
One last question before we move on to other subject matter here on this particular issue, Mr. Nyano, and I'm going to be pushing. I'm pushing hard on this this afternoon, and you as a spokesperson, you always know how to deal with these things, so I'm not that concerned. How do you deal with the statement of Grangidians? They elect people and they don't seek the intended result from these people. And in fact, some of the elected officials, according to the story, will not even want to visit them until next election. Then they come with back of rice and some money and all those kinds of stuff so that people will vote for them. How do you, if this is true, if this, what I'm saying to you, if it is true, because I don't know, I'm not in Granjide, but if this is true, how do you deal with it? How do you let the people know that their vote, the vote to vote for somebody is much, much more important than a bag of rice, than a cup of fish, than a cup of oil, canteen or oil and what have you? How do you make Grangidians, if what I'm saying to you, if it is true, how do you make Grangidians to understand how important their vote is in the overall scheme of democracy in Liberia?
So, that's a very good question. That's a complicated question too. You know, when I was on the tour, I had this conversation with our people. I told them that your vote is like a gun. If you put a gun in the head of a child, they could cause terrible destruction. If you put a gun in the hands of responsible people, they use it responsibly. Right? It's the same thing with the vote. Our people have the vote. That vote could be used for ill or for good. How do we work with our people so that they use the vote in their own interest? You see, and the thing that makes our situation complicated, something you have to go to Grand Judah and go through the villages and the towns. And you see the conditions that our people are subject to. Here's what I hear from our people. They say, look, when these politicians come and they say all these sweet things to us, and we run behind them, we go campaign for them, when they win, we don't see them anymore. So, Mr. Yano, you come in now, you want to run? Yes, what we are telling you now. You will give us our own before we vote for you. Because when you let other people, we will not see you again. That is a logical argument. Our people are saying, send me the beggar right now. Because when you win, I can't see you. You're not doing anything to me. So I'd rather take the beggar right now. Then when you win, you go. So here's what I tell our people. First of all, I say when you're selecting someone, what it is that you look for in a person. You know, they have been ruling that monyon now. Gonyon. But now, they are you. Dan Zidia, in English, we say you have track record. So I say to our people, to enhance your chances of your aspirations being met, look at the person's track record. Look behind them. And I said to them, I put mine before you. Look at my track record. I'm not a young man. I've been around for a while. So I have history. Check my history. Vet me out. And you'll be told what my predisposition is. If you see a man just as more in a lot of people, vet me out. And that's what I'm saying. Here's what I intend to do, God willing. I intend to change this picture. I intend to change. If God ever were to be elected, our people will know that it is possible. There are people who make promises and who keep them. That's what I intend to do.
Thank you, Mr. Nyano. Folks, again, this is Samson Talk, Saturday morning, live with Mr. William Nyano, who is seeking a senatorial position in Grand Judah, and still in the exploratory infancy anyway. So we just want to make that point clear as we move on. Mr. Nyano, I want to thank you very much, but let's go on now to the national stage. You spoke earlier about government being responsible, coming in to help the local government in terms of roads and things. Mr. Nyanu, let be serious on it a little bit. The government of the Republic of Liberia from 19-something, they don't care for Grand Bureau. They only was there for 12 years. No road. Right now, when they ring, the road in Liberia color, in Grand color. How you think, Joy, we are people then will put road in Grand County? They can't even face the main road that go to Samuel County, let alone face road to go to Quinamo, face road to go to Johnson, face road to go to Twabo, face road to go to other places. The government, they have no interest in Grand. Look in the government itself right now and tell me how many Grangidians, permanent Grangidians that are being selected by this government. And every year, every election, Grangidia County gave almost 100% of his vote to George Weah and his people. But look in the government, what do we have to show for? So, Mr. Nyano, are you sure the government, the George Weah government, going to be able to listen to you and be able to help to build roads up our people, for Crown people to sell food and make money in Liberia?
All right, son. That's an important question. But let's be clear about this. I'm not in the George Weah government, so I am not a spokesperson or an advocate for the government. The point that I'm making is any government, President Weah or anybody else, it's their responsibility as a national government to cater to the needs of all Liberians. Grangidians are Liberians. And that's what I'm saying. If our caucus, if the Grangidian Legislative Caucus is united, it is united, we can make our case. We can make our case. It's true. And you're not young. In the 70s, we drove from Grangidia to Monrovia throughout the year. The road never comes. You are an engineer. Why does the road come now? Simple. Very simple. They're very simple solutions. And I talked to some of my colleagues back in Liberia, and I don't understand why the road is cut. Because what they've done over the years, they've removed all the borrowed material. So they removed all the gravel. They are down to the clay. So what happens to the rain? It's not much. All you simply have to do, rebuild up the road, bring by the gravel, and that's it. Right? We used to drive from Zwedru to Monrovia one day. That's it. Right? So the point that I'm making here is this something. Because I heard this story before when Ellen was president. People were saying, Ellen doesn't love Grandier people. That might be true. But what would the Grandier people say? First of all, those of us, our leaders in the legislature, they must speak up. They must be heard. They must be heard. They must have press conferences. They must be heard on the floor of the Senate, the floor of the House. Why is Grandier or the Southeast is being isolated? They must talk. Let Liberia hear them. But here's the thing too. Because look, when I sent out one of my earlier newspapers, I sent it to one of my friends from Lima. He called me back and said, Nyano, these things that you were talking about in this paper, this picture you're showing. He said, and I want to graduate there. He said, in my own village in Lima. He said, the road from the main road to the road should be here, going to Zwaya and those places. He said, it is in my area. What do we even do for ourselves? Doesn't Grandier have road construction equipment? Can we not do the road ourselves from the main road to Johnson? Can we not do that? Yes, so we must be heard. So at the difference of, they don't care for Grandier. If they don't care for Grandier, then we have to say why. And if it is true that they don't care for Grandier, then we Grandier must speak up. Our leader must speak up and say this is unacceptable. And we must not stop speaking up until there's a solution. And that's what I intend to do. We intend to engage the powers that be. We intend to engage our colleagues. That's why networking is important. That's why networking is important. You must have friends across all spectrums, from all backgrounds, so that you can network with them. Our goal is not to go and to fight and to how you call it, make people look like devils and stuff like that. Our goal is to go and network and to make our case to the country. And that's what I intend to do. And I think it can be done. And I think, in fact, it will be done. Whether it's during this weird time or other time, it will be done. We will continue to advocate until it is done.
Thank you, Mr. Nyano. I, as an engineer myself, I've been talking about this road network this for a very long time, and in fact, there's some sort of a joke within the Liberian public radio family. Something to you just talk kind of road, you want to go home, but it's not the point. And the point that what I'm saying here, Mr. Nyano, I think what you stated is quite correct. Because those days they have the people have gone past the actual base of that road. They have gone past it and they meet the clay now. So water not going anywhere. Clay is it's a solid, very solid. I mean the makeup of a clay, the chemical makeup, the soil makeup of a clay is very different. It's not something water can pass through very easily. So when you meet with clay, you get mud, and then at the end at the summertime the mud turns to dust. And then rainy season, it turned back to mud. So this is the process. But I think that's something you now, as a technocrat that's seeking this position, Mr. Nyano, will you, in terms of policy, will you try to put forward some policy that will be heavy on the technical aspect of roads, technical aspect of whatever it is that have to be done, but has a heavy hand in technical from a technical perspective? Is that how you're going to carry on, or you're going to be one of those that would speak out for Grangians and speak out for Liberians, and then perhaps they brand you as being radical? Are you not afraid as that as well? There's two questions in there, sir.
No, something. In fact, that's one of my hopes. That is again, and I keep prefacing these comments with, if God opens the door, because I think men plans, but all things are in God's hands. So if God were to open the door for me to enter this place, like, these are the issues that I intend to deal with. There are issues of grandchildren, but there are also national issues. I intend, for example, hopefully I will be on the Committee on Public Works. I intend for the Minister of Public Works and the Technician of Public Works to educate me why there can be an interim solution to making sure that the road to Grand Gire is possible every year. They need to educate us. They need to educate us. Why? Because to me, it's not such a complicated issue. It's not. And I talk to some of our people. There, and I try to explain it to them. The problem might be people are just not educated to alternatives. So what everybody is waiting for is to pay the rule. And I tell them to pay 1 kilometer rule in Liberia, something from north, I think it's $1 million. It's $1 million United States dollars. So you tell me the distance from Ganta to Zwedru, how many kilometers is that? So how many millions you need to pay this? In Liberia, there are only 6 months of construction season. So they can only pay the road within 6 months. How many months it will take before they get the grant?
Now in Liberia, Mr. Nyano, the people, they like to do construction work in the rainy season.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you're an engineer, you know that. You can't do pavement, you can't do construction work. Compaction, you're going to get when the soil is saturated. You cannot compact. So the reality is, you only got 6 months to do serious road work. And then, so how many 6 months period will you need before you get to Grand Gire? Can we not have some interim solutions that will make sure our people are not caught up every year? If I'm in the Senate, those are the questions the Minister of Public Works will have to answer. And the challenge we have is, I just give you a typical example. Liberia is one of the few West African countries where engineers are not licensed. The Engineering Society of Liberia, when I was there in 2013, they called me and they said, Mr. Nyano, we sent a proposal to the House to give us the authority to license engineers in Liberia. Please help us out. I helped them out with a proposal. Then they said they sent a proposal to committee. The committee need to have a hearing. They said, please come go with us to help us make the case. I went there with them. I even showed the committee my own license here from the United States and try to tell them the importance of licensing engineers.
Exactly.
That proposal is still on the shelf since 2013. It's still on the shelf somewhere. If I'm in the Senate, I'll make sure that proposal will pass. Because I will educate our people the importance of licensing engineers so that we have quality work done in Liberia.
Exactly.
And sometimes these things don't get done because people don't see the value. So if you attend, you understand these things and you can help educate your colleagues, they will see the value because it's good for the country.
Right. Okay, Mr. Nyano, again, folks, Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. Mr. Nyano is going to be taking a leave here from us here very shortly. We will just take maybe 2 or 3 questions or whatever. And then because he has other things here he wants to take care of today, it's Saturday. But before we go, Mr. Nyano, let me just ask, now that we talk on the county level, let's talk a little bit of the national issue here. What do you make of the recent incident of students versus police brutality, as I would call it, in Liberia quite recently? What do you make of that?
Something that's a very difficult situation in the country right now. This is difficult. And I think anyone who's looking down the road will know that the challenges in Liberia in the near term are likely to be more and not less. So that's something all of us as Liberians should be concerned about. The challenge is, how do you confront these difficulties in a way that ensure harmony and that supports the peace that we've been enjoying for the past several years? If we don't take the time to look seriously and deeply into these challenges, then we might take actions that may be counterproductive to our aspirations. And that's what I see happening in Liberia right now. You know, I hear people say, you know, when people get in the street and the media, the things, put the images on Facebook and the internet, is scare investors, which is sadly true. But I think the thing that people need to realize is no serious investor goes into...
Mr. Nyano, could you tilt the camera downward a little bit, because we're just seeing, so I can see a little bit more of your, no, not just tilt it like you're tilting it towards the floor. No, that's
what do you want to see?
We want to see more of yourself a little bit, because right now we're just seeing go down. All right, right there. That's good. That's better.
Something like only my face you want to see.
No, I'm where there you go get essay because you go cheat and then get in the money, and when the money and we say I'm from Frank then your way. Yeah, great. That's
No, something. This is one because this is a serious issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. You know, let me just digress a little bit. Before this election, I mean, and this is something that most of our people in Liberia don't realize. They say, oh, well, you come from America, you know about Liberian politics. And I tell them, look, at least for the last 12, 15 years, I have been involved one way or the other in the political stuff that goes on back home. This last election, the people that I was associating with, I raised this question with them. I see that the road ahead is going to be difficult. And if you were to win, how do you intend to navigate this road? Resources will be scarce. Demand will be high. How do you handle it? Right? I didn't get a good response. And they asked for my own view. And here's what I told them. And here's what will be my unsolicited advice to the government that be today. The challenges are going to be more. The demands will be more. Resources will be scarce. How do you bring your people along with you to bear the sacrifice until you get to the place where you have at least enough resources to meet most of the demand. The way to do that, in my view, is to convince your people that you are bearing the sacrifice with them, that you are in the same boat, and what is affecting them is affecting you. Once your people are convinced, they will be willing to make the sacrifice. On the other hand, if your people see that there's a disparity between what they are going through and what you are going through, then the chances to rebel go way high. So I really hope that those of our leaders today who are leading the country and leading the rest of us will think deeply about this. Because right now, the children need to go to school. Will the government have enough money to pay teachers? That's something the government will have to contend with. Right? And I was saying, when you talk about investors coming in the country, it's not just these images on Facebook that scare investors. Because any serious investor, before they go in any country, they will consult their embassy in that country. So even if the images don't go on Facebook, they will always commercial attaché at these embassies. They will advise the investor from their country as to why it's obtaining in that country. So it's not just sufficient not to have these images on Facebook. It's also important for the embassies that are in your country to be convinced that your country is well managed. Because only then that they can advise investors from their country that the climate here for investment is good. So I am saying, to me, violence is no way. Violence is no way to solve any problem. And I think our law enforcement people need to understand that. There might be, temptation to do this or to do that, but everybody must be convinced that at the end of the day, violence just exacerbates that situation. They don't abate them. They don't stop them. The government and everybody who is concerned need to sit down and say, how do we deal with this problem long term? You gotta understand how the University of Liberia faculty is thinking about going on strike. Right. So now it's like we have a leaking roof. Oh, you pay the nurses, then the nurses they start their strike. Oh, then the students go and they do their thing. Then you pay their teacher, then they stop. Then the universities. We need to find a comprehensive solution, and it's not going to be easy. Something. The resources will continue to be scarce for quite some time. So those who are in government, that is burning. And you don't solve this problem by demonizing people. It doesn't work that way. Everybody has to put on their thinking caps and as rational people say what we need to do. To demonize this group and that group just makes your situation worse.
Okay, folks, again, that's Mr. William Yano, who has agreed to be our guest this morning and giving us some real information here. We want to thank you very much. Let me go ahead and put a number up and see if we can take one or two calls. Mr. Yano, do you think you want to take one or two calls, or are you thinking about ready to leave? Because I see now you're moving.
That's fine. I can take a few questions.
Okay. All right, but I think we can see now that Mr. Yano is on the move.
Yeah, my phone is dying. I got to charge it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's make sure that is done. We will now go ahead and take a phone call here. Give me a call. The number is up there, 916-583-1136. Give me a call, and let me put a number out here. We're not going to be here long because Mr. Yano is about ready to go anyway. So let's put a number, 916-585-1136. Give me a call, and then we can go. But Mr. Yano, while we have you on here, I know you just spoke about the issue of the national issue that relate to the recent conflict within Liberia. What do you make of the salary harmonization they're talking about, trying to cut people's salary and what have you? And before you answer that, let me ask you the first question, then you can go to that. The first question that I want you to address is the fact that you've been working in private as an engineer, making forget tons, making house full of money, making house full of money. And now you're gonna go to the place over there where the non-people they say they talk about cutting salary to maybe about 5,000 and something like that. Is that something that you're willing to take?
Well, I mean, for me, my motivation has never been money. Um, so it's not about salary. The same things that motivated me when I came to this country to say I have to help provide leadership for our community here are the same things that are motivating me now to say I have to go and do something for our people. Right? Because I tell people, I mean, that over the years, this request has come to me in so many forms. Mr. Nyano, you need to go and run for a political office, and I've already turned those requests down. And so when I finally decided that I'm going to do this, I mean, there are people who said, Mr. Nyano, we're happy you're doing this, but what has changed? What happened? And the thing that I tell them something is that these positions, whether you're a minister or you're president or you're president, these positions provide you a platform. And once you get on that platform, how you use it is up to you. I intend to use my platform, if God were to give it to me, to motivate and inspire our people to rise above themselves. We can't just write. We have the grievances. We will articulate them. But there are things we can do for ourselves. Our people, they don't make big enough farms. Is there a way we can help them to make big enough farms? Across the Kavala, it's like Cote d'Ivoire. They are the world's largest producer of cocoa. Why is the grandmother not producing enough cocoa? Can we not do that? We can't. When I was a graduate, I was telling people about agriculture. I went to a particular town. A young man got there and said, Mr. Nyano, you're talking this thing about agriculture. That's a good thing. But how many people have they bought colonizers for? They farm. And I told a young man, I said, you know what? My father died when I was 10 years old. I said, you know how I went to school? My mom supported us. And how did she support us? She had a big planting farm. In fact, when my father died, my mother was in Buchanan. She took a truck load, she chartered the truck for the planting. My older sister now, Catherine, who's in Philadelphia, lives in Buchanan. She took a planting load to Buchanan to start planting. That's what she was when my father died. So I asked a young man, who you think bought the car to my father to make a planting farm? Herself. She didn't go to Senator Toa or Senator Kangwe or Representative Wu. She saw cassava. And she was able to buy her own planting. Buy her own colors. We need to motivate our people to do what they for themselves, what only they can do. But then we need to help them. We need to help them. I went to one town in I think it was in the Nyao area. When I told this, or I told my concept, the lady said to me, Mr. Nyano, there's one thing the people in Nima do that we don't do. Now, I don't know the history. That was just a comment she made to me. She said the people in Nima, the villages, they will get together and go on one farm. They will spend their 2 days, they clear that farm. Then they go on the other person's farm. He said, yeah, we don't do it. And I think that's legitimate. When I was growing up, they used to do similar things.
Yes.
It wasn't big, but there were towns where people got together, the men got together and go clear one man's farm, and after a few days they go to the next person's farm. And that's why the leaders of grassroots will be thinking about what it is that we as leaders can do to help our people make bigger farms. That's what we need to do. And then we in the diaspora, how can we partner with our people back there to provide for them resources that they otherwise can't provide for themselves? And I believe Nigeria has a leadership that the people in the diaspora can work with, be comfortable to work with. I'm sure the diaspora will get involved in a meaningful way. Those are the things that I want to do. That's the conversation I want to have. So it's not about money.
Okay.
It's not about money.
So the last question.
Let me just end with this.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Let me just end with this. Because the other thing that I tell our people is, Even if I have a ton of money, I have the best car in Liberia, the best house, and I get amongst my friends, and they say, "Oh, where are you from?" And I say, "Oh, I'm from Grand They say, "Oh, the backward place." Even with all my money and with all my things, I feel terrible. I want Grand to be competitive. The same way I want Liberia to be competitive. I want when I travel and they say, "Where you come from?" And I say, "I come from Liberia." They say, "Oh, that country, they're doing really well." When I get among people and they say, "Where you come from?" I say, "I come from Grand They say, "Those people, they're hard working together." That's what I want. That's what motivated me to do this thing. We can do it.
Okay. All right. One last question because I think we agree earlier that you're going to go take care of things. So I appreciate you taking some time before I think we run out of time here now. But one last question. What's about the Liberian government idea of what is happening, cutting people's salary and what have you? How does what do you make of it? And are you concerned with the security implication in such that the cutting perhaps security people salary and things like that? Is there any kind of security risk implication out of this salary harmonization issues?
Again, something that's a good question. You know, one of the reality of life, when you give someone something, it's hard to take it away from them. You see the thing right now in the United States. When Obamacare, the thing they call Obamacare, when it first came out, it was unpopular. In fact, Democrats ran away from it; they could not defend it. Then people started enjoying the benefit, pre-existing conditions. Now they can get treatment. And now, in this next election cycle, they want to take those benefits away from them. And you are here. You see the pushback. People are saying, no, you can't take it back from us. So once you give people something, it's hard to take it back. But now, having said that, sometimes it's necessary to do that. But how do you do it in a way that maintains harmony and peace? And that's a challenge that every government has. Right? So if the Liberian government, because I don't know the numbers, I mean, I don't know the details of this salary harmonization. So let's just assume, for the benefit of conversation, that there are disparities in the salary structure. And the government needs to harmonize these disparities. You know, in your business, in my business, when I do utility risk study in this country, and the way we even do utility risk study in this country, we're doing 5-year cycles. Mm-hmm. So, but when you do one risk study, by the time you get to the 3rd year, they begin the study for the next 5 years.
Right.
And the process is you do the study, and the risks are to go up. Then you have hearing. They have this town hall hearing. Then you, the consultant, you go and explain to the people why the risks have to go up.
Exactly.
Then the people will ask their questions.
Right.
See, they will ask their questions. Then in the end, they will be convinced. They say, okay, even though we know we'll pay a little more, but it's justifiable.
Right.
You know, we're going to put in new sewer. We're going to put in new water pipes. We're building new water plants. So yes, the rates have to go up. You got to bring your people along with you for what you want to do.
Right.
Why do you want to cut people's salaries? Convince them. Make your case to them. Give them time to digest what you're saying. Then once they are ready, then you do it.
Right.
You come to me, I'm making $500 today, then you come to me and say, next month you'll make $200. How do I survive?
Exactly.
But if you get it 6 months, you say within 6 months, the salary will be cut. And here are the reasons. Even we are in ourselves, our salary will be cut. Some of us will be there to sacrifice. And when the salary is cut, here is what we are doing to bring the salary back to where it is now. Give the people reasons and hope so they have something to hold on to. Right? And that's a challenge that any government will have. And I think that's a challenge the government that has today. Because definitely, cutting people's salaries is nothing fun. It hurts people. If it's necessary, make the case and convince your people and bring them along. If you don't bring it along, that's when they protest. That's when they rebel.
Yes.
So even if the idea is good, the results are bad.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Nyaru. I made that case too yesterday that information, the process of informing people well ahead of time of what it is that you're doing, let them seek and make sure that there is a benefit in the future. The incident or what is happening right now is going to be hurtful. But as long as they can see the light at the end of the tunnel and they can see the benefit at the ahead of everything else, people will say, yes, let's take the risk. But I want to thank you very much, Mr. Nyano. Before we take leave of you, is there anything else you want to touch on here that perhaps we were not able to bring out?
Well, my thing has nothing. I know your program, I think, is worldwide, so whoever has access to the internet accesses this program. But I speak specifically in my closing remarks to the Grand Leader community here in the United States. When I was elected president of the Grand Leader Association, my first election in 2001, and my inaugural speech is in Providence. One of the things that I said was the work that we were beginning here in the United States was actually intended, and the end is will be in Liberia and Peru. In the 80s, I've been able to draw. Balala aduana do somani or somani na. Yeah, kauna zra bini rona balala aduana kudi anja yeah big or somani. And that's what I'm engaging upon now. And I'm saying to our people in the diaspora, whether here in the US or in the United Kingdom or Australia, wherever our people are, I am saying the state of Grand Leader will be the measuring rod by which people will judge who we are. And we have to prove to the Liberian people and to ourselves that we are better, way better than what is existing now in Grand Leader. And the only way we can do that is to come together, to pour our resources, money, and ideas to rebuild Grand Leader. And that was the theme of is rebuilding Grand Leader. How do we do that? And so that's the appeal I make to our people here. I tell people, I don't want to just win this election. Yes, I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm talking, I wouldn't be able to do if I don't win. But I want to do more than just win. I want to succeed. And for me to succeed, I need this partnership with our people around the world who catch this vision, who say transforming Grand Leader is my personal ambition. Because transforming Grand Leader is not just a physical transformation, but it also change the politics in our country. We, those people who have the privilege to lead our people, must share that. It's a privilege. And you cannot do anything to just make them dependent on you. You must do things to liberate our people so that they are independent. Right? If you make the people just dependent on you, you don't mean well for our people. Because they have to be independent. They have to be able to support their own families. They can't come to you every time for school fees. No. You must help them so that they'll be able to pay their own children's school fees. They don't have to come to you. God, we are all mortal human beings. You will die one day. All these people that are depending on you for their school fees, what happens when you die? No, our goal should be to give our people independence so that whether William Nyano is not there, our people will be able to take care of themselves. That's my goal. And I need the partnership of our people from around the world to see their vision, to make our people independent. Because only by making them independent, like you said earlier, that they're not dependent on person rights, so they can have their own better rights. But they have to depend on William Nyano for person rights. Then if William Nyano doesn't advocate for them because it's buying the person rights, they will always support William Nyano. That's bad leadership. And we must change that in Grand Leader County. So I'm asking for their partnership. I'm asking for your partnership and a partnership of our people around the world. Let's go back in our country and invest our resources and invest our time to transform Grand Leader. And my goal now is ambitious, but I believe if all of us get together, we can achieve it, is to make Grand Leader County the envy of Liberia. We can do it. We can do it. Grand Leader Association in the United States was the envy of the Liberian community here. And what was it when we started? It wasn't. But that's what we brought it to by the time we left. The last convention we had in Providence, Rhode Island. Not Providence, in Worcester. If you were there, you know who went there. All these big Liberian politicians were there. The one in Washington, in D.C., in Maryland. Curtis Waterson, they were there. Christo, they were there. David Fahad, all of them were there. Why were they there? Because Grand Leader Association was presenting something that was new and refreshing and meaningful. Grand Leader Council can do that. And that is our goal. And that is our vision. And I'm asking for the partnership of our people. First, to help us get elected. To call the family and friends in Liberia and to say, I know Mr. Nyano is there amongst us. Here's what he's done. And here's what he's capable of doing. Let's support it too. And then after we win, we'll have to partner together to transform our country. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nyano. We appreciate it, folks. Again, Samson told LeBron Public Radio. We're glad to have Mr. Nyano with us this evening and this morning, giving us the information. Mr. Nyano, thank you very much. And then we'll take leave of you now and say thank you. And we'll talk to you later, but go ahead and take care of what you have to take care of. Folks, this is Samson Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Nyano, and good evening. Good morning. Again, folks, Samson told LeBron Public Radio. Oops, what did I do? Oh, okay. Well, okay, here we go. Samson told LeBron Public Radio. We say thanks to Mr. Nyano for giving us a wonderful, wonderful information. Let's go ahead. We're gonna be closed. It's Saturday morning. Wife and kids are just coming to my studio now because they got other things they want to do here. So I got to excuse myself. Let them take care of what they have to do in around the studio area because the studio is set up here, but they have other things here also that they're gonna do. And now she's opening the door, kicking me out of my studio. Samson, let's listen in a little bit.
Onana ayama lokolo mwane sikolo mwa yepozane kripu ya mreu lokolo taliye bolu suku oke